Chapter 18. So I'm guessing you're wondering what's going on, said Hope to Palmer. That's putting it mildly. Where'd you get this ball? I knew you think it was some sort of trick, and I assure you that it is. But it has nothing to do with the baseball. Nor does it have anything to do with hypnosis, hyperbole, or hysterical conditions brought on by a manager in a midlife crisis. Hey, wait just a minute, said the manager, who was having a midlife crisis. Mr. Palmer. Willie, please. Okay, Willie, I could spend the rest of your life explaining what just happened, and I don't know if I could truly get you to understand. It's not because you're unintelligent, it's just that, well, you're a healthy, red-blooded American who spent 45 years viewing life through a certain set of lenses. I don't wear glasses, said Palmer. If you want to know what just happened, or at least get a glimpse at understanding, skip ahead to Chapter 58, said Hope. Chapter 58, what does that even mean? Asked Palmer, who was again sitting down in the snow. Never mind, answered Hope. Do you know anything about quantum physics? No, and neither does my dog. Good, replied Hope, because the real answer would blow your mind. With that, Hope launched into a time-twisting, mind-bending lecture that either lasted 30 seconds, 30 years, or, most likely, somewhere in between. Chapter 19. It was still January. It was still butt cold. The snot was still frozen in Willie Palmer's nostrils. But the rest of his body was buzzing with the heat of something he had never quite felt before. Whatever, was all he could say to Hope's physics lessons. Let's see what else you got. Now it was Hope's turn to be astonished. Willie, I'm giving you knowledge that not even the greatest minds in the world understand yet, and all you want to see is how fast I can throw a fastball? That's good. Yeah, show me the absolute fastest you can throw, he said as he took off like a sled dog through his neighbor's backyard. But I'd love to explain. Easy there, Isaac Newton. Just toss me the ball like it's a hot electron or proton or, I don't know, a futon. Just show me one more pitch. But manager, come on, let me have it, Palmer said as he pulled on his glove for the third time and squatted in the snow. Willie? Dude, hit me with your best shot. Fire away. But please, give it to me, Hope. So for the third time, Hope went into an abbreviated windup and let fly a pitch that would defy any radar gun. Luckily, he put it a little outside the strike zone because, despite trying to warn Willie, Hope noticed that the manager's glove was still split between the middle two fingers like a Vulcan salutation from Star Trek. And after the ball streaked impossibly fast across the 60-foot space and again shot through the manager's glove, it went even further into backyard wasteland. Hope called out to him, "Live long and prosper." Chapter 20. Sparky was liking this game. Even though he had so many thoughts to contend with, he still was a dog, body and soul, and loved to chase balls. If they tasted like popsicles that had been laced with cowhide, so much the better. As he ran back to dig the latest pitch out of the snow, he began to contemplate what Hope had been saying about the matter. So, we only understand about 4% of the universe. That ain't much. 4%. That's only 2/50ths of what's out there. There's only 1/25 of everything. That's incredible. What was really incredible was that Sparky the dog, who had only a day before not even known he was anything other than a dog, was now doing long division in his canine mind and frankly was pretty advanced with it. Oh, he wasn't thinking of going to Oxford or Harvard, but maybe there's a place for him at a Terrier Tech or a Spaniel State somewhere. I wonder if we on Earth only understand 4% as well, he thought as he ran the ball back to his neighbor. Good boy, said Hope, as Sparky dropped the ball back in his hands, being careful not to slobber too much on it. That's a very good dog. And smart, too. Chapter 21. The questions that tumbled through Willie Palmer's mind were frustrating, not because they confused him, but they had no answers or only led to deeper questions. They jumbled up inside his head and made him mad because he couldn't figure out which one to ask first or next. He settled on the easiest. Got any plans for the next couple of years, starting, say, today? Hope knew this was coming, and with a mischievous smile replied, Definitely. Can I get you to reconsider them and maybe spend some time playing for a pro baseball team that's been down on its luck? He asked. I'm always open to new things, but I must warn you, I come with a price tag, Hope said, rubbing his hands together, looking like a greedy villain from an old black and white movie, but really just warming up his fingers. Mike Fidrich owns the Bengals, hockey's Red Wheels, and an entire global pizza chain. He basically controls every entertainment venue around, said Willie. I think he may be able to find the money to pay you if he owns the whole town. Oh, I'm familiar with Mr. Fidrich and his wealth, but it's not money, per se, that I'll need, Hope answered. I'm very much in need of his help with a little urban renewal project I have in mind. Urban renewal? You mean fixing up cities like they tried in the 60s and 70s? You got it. See, Willie, you are a very quick learner. But, Hope, what kind of cash are you looking for? Who's your agent? How can we get you on the team and down to Florida for spring training next month? Number 1, the exact number of your lowest paid player makes. Number 2, me. I'm the agent. Number 3, no, I'm not going to Florida, at least not on your roster, answered the pitcher, setting down the side in order. It took a moment for his answers to register. Hope didn't want much money. He's his own agent, and wait, every baseball player has to go through spring training, said Palmer. Spring training is when players warm up. It's designed to get them ready for the season, replied Hope. That's right. Well, don't you think I'm warm enough right now? Even if this suburban Arctic Circle, I can throw pretty fast, right? Besides, if I go to Florida with you, everyone's going to know your new secret weapon, and I'm not quite ready to spoil the secret. But we've always done things that way. Spring training's been around for 100 years, replied the manager. Just because things have always been done one way doesn't mean they're right. Look at slavery. It existed for 3 times as long as spring training, but that didn't make it right. Playing baseball for a good sum of money is hardly anything like slavery, said the slightly offended manager. I'm not saying it's anything like that at all, but baseball is one of the best things about this country, and slavery, along with the horrible things done to the Indians, is the worst. I was just using it to make a point. I was an idiot for doing so. You're right. Palmer looked a little less offended. He couldn't remember what the country had done to the Cleveland team, but he let it slide. Just what are you saying? He had Hope on the ropes. Like I said, just because we've always done something some way doesn't by itself make it the right way, reasoned Hope. I completely understand the need for spring training, and I don't oppose it on philosophical grounds. But this year's spring training for the Detroit Bengals is going to have to go on without me. If I were down there, too much of the focus would be on me and not on the team as a whole. Right now, the attention should be on you and what you're doing with these boys who are 15 to 20 years younger than me. They need the spotlight for a little while longer. That's big of you, Hope, but remember, we haven't even signed a contract yet. You're right, Coach. And at that, he slapped Palmer on the shoulders and said simply, let's go see about some pizza. 3rd inning, Chapter 22. Ever since L. Rick had come to Motown, he'd been on a quest to live his life a bit differently. Truthfully, his aggression on the rink had been bothering him. Not bothering him enough to say stop acting out, but it bothered him on a more visceral level, a place that he couldn't always connect with, but understood on the periphery of his awareness. He couldn't have known that it was simply the Red Baron having some fun inside his chromosomes, manipulating them from times gone by. It wasn't fair, really, but what was L. Rick to do? His latest professional conquest had been infiltrating, in a ridiculous disguise, the Ann Arbor hospital where alleged Israeli Mossad agent LEG was passing intelligence to and from the Knesset in Jerusalem. When the story broke, nobody was quite sure what LEG was doing. He was a nurse, a darn fine one too, but what type of information could he possibly be gathering or disseminating in a hospital and a college town in the middle of America? It took L. Rick several months just to ferret out the spy. He left it to the public to convict him, the public and the CIA. The story broke on the 11 p.m. news. Earlier that morning, LEG was at his job. The next day he wasn't. His job vanished, as did the entire floor of the Ann Arbor hospital where he worked. Seriously, Patients that had been under his care found themselves waking up all across town in various other facilities. They reported feeling particularly groggy. Nurses assigned to the 13th floor now had rather substantial funds secretly added to their checking accounts and were told to report to the administrative offices for reassignment when they showed up at work. A visitor stepping into the hospital's elevators the following day barely noticed that the numbers went up 9, 10, 11, 12, then 14. It was as if the 13th floor never existed. Chapter 23. Even though Sparky didn't want to, he was quickly leashed and led home while Hope followed them. Within 20 minutes, Willie had phoned the front office, got through the skeleton crew, and was talking with Bengal's owner Mike Fidrich, who was visiting one of his stores in Pleasant Ridge. When Palmer tried to explain that he had someone for the owner to meet, he was put on hold for a moment. By the way, Willie, let's not mention the salary issue just yet, with Mr. Fidrich, Hope whispered. But remember to bring a few baseballs and a new mitt. We won't have the Sparkomatic to go chasing through the snow in Pleasant Ridge. Somehow it didn't seem odd at all for one of baseball's losingest managers to be driving to a pizza joint late in the morning in the middle of winter to meet the man who signs his check and, at this particular time, have no fears or hesitations about asking for a big, humongous favor. Heck, he even found himself smiling just a bit at the far corners of his mouth. "What are you so happy about?" asked Hope, who had somehow seen him, although he was looking straight ahead at Woodward Avenue. Nothing. I just grew up down the street from here on Amherst, and I remember hating this time of the year because I couldn't run down the block to Victory Field and play baseball. Geez, Coach, I sure hope we can play a quick game of catch today, but let's bring Mr. Moneybags with us. Entering the dark restaurant pub at 11:11 from the cold, bright winter's day left the two of them blinded by the extreme change in light. It wasn't until a large, hulking mass blocked what little light they could see that they knew they were in the presence of something greater than themselves, at least in body weight. The owner, who'd tried every popular diet known, weighed in at 360 pounds. It didn't help that he was only 5'9" and 3/4 of an inch tall, so the fat got distributed like congealed sludge in his too revealing slacks. It all chose to just sit halfway between his balding head and his shriekingly painful feet. No one, except restaurant staff that was trying to look busy, was at the place this early on a weekday. The owner was quickly given a bare-bones synopsis of who Palmer had brought with him. Incredible pitcher, rare find, unbelievable fastball, that sort of thing. Fidrich had already downed his first beer of the day and was nursing a second as the three of them slid into a Naugahyde booth. "What do you like on your pie?" Fidrich asked them both. "Pie? Aren't we going to have some lunch first?" asked Willie. "Pizza pie, man. What toppings do you want in your pizza?" "Anything's fine with me," said Hope. "Lots of vegetables," said Palmer. "You skinny people disgust me. Bring us a load of little seizures," Fidrich said to Skye Taylor, a waitress who had silently appeared next to their table. "And a small vegan veggie with another brewski and—" "Ice water," said Palmer. "Ice water as well," said Hope. "Jesus," said Fidrich. Chapter 24. Although the joint was empty and the workers seemed awfully busy, it took forever for the pizzas to be baked. The apologetic waitress explained at least 3 times to her big boss that pizza ovens take quite a while to heat up. She said on cold winter days it takes even longer, and "I'm so sorry, sir, we just don't normally have customers this early." She even went so far as to offer that by not heating the ovens up earlier, they were saving the owner lots of dough, her pun intended, on his gas bills. The normally jovial owner may have laughed at this, but if he had been paying any attention to her. In fact, he hadn't heard anything she had said during any of her 3 apology visits. His mind was actually quite taken up with baseball for the moment, something it hadn't been for quite a long time. "So let me get this straight. Your guy here can throw a ball faster than you've ever seen anyone throw anything." "That's what I'm trying to tell you, boss," said Palmer. "And you want to come pitch for the Bengals, and it's not going to cost me my entire fortune to get you here?" "Well, not initially," said Hope, with a reassuring smile. "All I'm asking is for the standard starting pay you give any new rookie, and a few extra bonus points thrown in case I pitch a no-hitter or a perfect game." "Yeah?" laughed Fidrich. "You got plans of doing that too? Man, I got to see you throw a few." Sure thing, after your carnivorous conniption, chimed in Palmer. Little seizures, Willie. Haven't you seen the commercials? By the way, what extra bonus points are you talking about, Mr. Hope, did you say? Oh, nothing fancy. If I throw a no-hitter, you have to build a non-profit daycare center in the heart of the worst part of Detroit so the inner-city moms can have a safe place to drop off their kids while they look for work and give their families a fighting chance at getting off welfare, explained Hope to an amused Fidrich and an astonished Palmer. Geez, what do I got to do if you manage a game with no runs, hits, or errors, or walks? Again, nothing too great. Just for every perfect game I throw, you will be contractually obligated to turn one Detroit city block into an urban parkland. You know, buy out some blighted, abandoned homes, raise them, and raise a park. The usual. Okay, Mr. Save the World. A perfect game is also, by definition, a no-hitter. You want both daycare and a park if you so miraculously toss a perfect game? Hey, Mr. Fidrich, I hadn't thought of it that way, but you got yourself a deal. The owner had never run into anything this strange in all his days of professional sports. Usually star athletes come in with agents who want more money than anyone else. If they don't get what they want, they threaten not to sign the contract and not play. He'd gotten so sick of pretty boy prima donnas who were playing baseball not for the thrill of the grass, but the thrill of the cash. This nut job across the table wanted nothing for himself, but he wanted the sun, the moon, and the stars for the city of Detroit. The positive public relations would do nothing but good things for you, sir, said Palmer, who also couldn't believe what he was hearing. But earlier today, he couldn't believe what he was seeing, so he was beginning to take disbelief in stride. Let's see. You do something only a few Bengal pitchers have ever done before, and all I have to do is build a low-cost daycare downtown, asked Fidrich. Absolutely, replied Hope. And let's say you do something that only a few major league pitchers have ever done before, and all I have to do is plant a few trees and call it a day? Well, there's more to urban parks than that, but you're getting the gist. Yeah, explained Hope. And that's it. That's all you're asking. I do this and you bring this freaky fastball to my mound and play for my team? You forgot about the low starting pay, said Willie. Okay, the crappy wages, the park, and the daycare thing, right? Is that all? $125,000 per year is hardly crappy pay. There are people on welfare in the city who make, but Hope was interrupted by Sky Taylor and her two hot, steaming, delayed pizzas. Fidrich, who wanted to close the deal and shake hands so he could eat his meal without getting indigestion, asked, That's all there is, right? The park, the pay, the preschool? Hey, I like the way that sounds. There's one more small thing, said Hope, still with a relaxed smile. Fidrich didn't hide his disappointment and somewhat loudly clanged his fork and knife back to the table, which had, until just then, been hovering mid-pizza over the largest slice on the platter. What now? Every time I pitch a perfect game at home, you're contractually obliged to lose 10 pounds. The owner just about busted a gut laughing. He never thought during all his dieting days to try legal means to make him drop the tonnage. When his great heaves of humor died down enough, he reached back toward the pizza and this time cut himself the smallest slice. Somehow, in the back of his mind, he knew he'd probably be doing a lot more of this in the future. He was a smart man with great business savvy, knowing that if the impossible came true, it would be impossible for him to orchestrate all of Hope's demands. Before the guys finished their meals, Fidrich fought back and got his pitching prospect to simply agree to a dollar amount donated to the city. Sold. Detroit gets $1 million for every perfect game you toss, and I got to lose 5 pounds, the owner finally agreed, shaving points from his proposed pound plummet. Chapter 25. The new face of the Bengals fans was no better represented by the Bengal ladies, two Chaldean Christian sisters and their Jewish friend. The three of them formed the nucleus of an internet news group that focused solely on Bengals baseball. Bengal babes, they called themselves, but only they could call themselves that. A few other contributors would chime into their group every once in a great while, but for the most part, it was just these three superfans, keeping the thread going late at night after their jobs as a jewelry salesperson, a pharmacist, and a graphic designer. There wasn't much baseball to talk about in January, other than trade rumors and their hopes for the new season, so they ventured into other non-baseball topics during the lull. There was a bad marriage one of them was dealing with, a sales goal for another, and a new wonder drug coming to market that occupied the third in their party. They each enjoyed hearing the others' views about politics too, but you could tell what really got them going was baseball. 6 months. 6.5 if we're lucky, is just too short a time. I wish the season were longer, their leader wrote. The other answered back in their typical style of agreement. 2 exclamation points, wrote Dory. 3 exclamation points, wrote Lori.